Hi, I'm Jackie Tantillo, and this is Should Have Listened to My Mother. Was your childhood warm and fuzzy, or were you one of the less fortunate where the truths and reality of life hit you hard at a young age? The ongoing debate of nature versus nurture will be one of the many fascinating topics today. My guests will be speaking straight from the heart. Joan and Jane do not hold back on their personal opinions, as well as their recommendations based on their life experiences, criminal records, and big hearts. Both of my guests were nurses and now spend a majority of their time helping others based on their experience as identical twins, whose mother was also an identical twin. Wowza, is all I have to say. Joan and Jane, the therapy twins, welcome to Should Have Listened to My Mother.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so wonderful to be here.
Where to begin? You're raised in the Northeast, correct? Connecticut, I believe?
Yes, born, raised, bred, whatever you want to say. I
Indoctrinated
into Connecticut, and I ventured out to Massachusetts briefly, and mixed feelings.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about if we start off with Joan? So my listeners can get a sense of your voice and who you are, so we can kind of keep track, because it's only audio, it's not video. So Joan, who's older, first of all?
Oh, Jane. This is Joan.
Jane should go first. No.
Jane is 2 minutes older.
No, one of the reasons we insist on being referred to as Joan and Jane is because it's been Jane and Joan for way too long. And I used it to my advantage.
This is Jane speaking.
This is Jane speaking. So
yeah, she did.
I used it to my advantage, and so I'd rather not go first today.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. Okay. Joan.
Yeah, because, hi there. Did you have a question for me?
Well, you're the younger twin. Has that been a thorn in your side?
Yes, I want to say that I wish some listeners read this because I can't find the article. In France, the one that comes out second, they view as the older twin, and I do not recall how or why. But in that same article, I believe it said something so provocative, and now that we're talking about mothers, it's really provocative. With twins, we touched ourselves before we touched our mother. And that's so when a twin says, oh my God, I can lose anyone in my life, but I can't lose you, I know what they mean. And our aunt said that when our mom was when she was dying. Our aunt said, twin, I cannot lose your mother. And she did. Oh, I just brought that conversation down.
You know what I say, Joan? I'd say get your head out of the porn aisle, because we could have been holding hands as touching each other.
Yeah, I wasn't
before we were.
That's what I thought of.
Oh, wow. Oh, I didn't find that provocative then.
Definitely shouldn't have been provocative.
The provocative part is Lori, our older sister, had a much more harder time, I believe, in my opinion, when our mother and father passed away, because I still had Jane. I still had her. So
and Lori is 3 years older than you?
Yes.
Yes, and Lori is our second mama.
Yes.
And is she still with us? Lori is.
She is.
Oh, fantastic. So,
very strong.
So, wow, very strong. So she had 3 years to your parents before you two arrived and consumed all the attention.
She reminds us of that. We cannot forget she had 3 extra years of mommy loving her. Boom.
Which is great. That's fantastic, right? I mean, you didn't ask to be born a twin, or did you guys before you were?
Oh, you never know.
Can you imagine?
If you believe in past lives, I think maybe.
Children pick their parents. So
yes,
you never know.
Believe that.
Yeah.
Your mom was also a twin.
Yes.
My niece had twins. And it was so overwhelming. Having one baby is hard enough an adjustment, but having twins it's a completely different experience. Your mom was an identical twin. How did she do when she had literally 3 children to watch all at once?
I think growing up, poor Jane, my mom was the younger twin. And I felt that anytime I went to my mother with any problem, issue, question about Jane or being a twin, I felt she gave me the most terrific answers. And, Jane was the older twin. So
I had, this is Jane, I had this aha moment, and I don't know why. I've always known I'm the older twin, and I've always known my aunt was the older twin, but I never connected those dots, I think, until either our mother almost passed or after she passed. And I thought, my goodness, I should have been utilizing my Auntie Rita, asking the older twin issue questions, because Joan is correct. She got so much comfort from our mother. And although my mother's presence was comforting for me, there were not a lot of words of wisdom. One was just take it as a compliment. And that's, I think, about the only real advice in words.
So was she warm and fuzzy physically, embracing?
No, absolutely not. No. But we can tell you why. Her mom, unfortunately, at the time, I think we believe it was a big age difference and an arranged marriage among her parents. And her mom left, and back in those days, because our mother passed, she was almost 90.
This is in the 40s.
Yeah. It was a scandal. And her father kept all 5 children, which I guess was huge because the police were there and they were going to adopt them out separately. And that's why she probably loves her father so much. But she didn't have a mother since age 10. So the warm and fuzzy left. You really do have to teach empathy. You really do.
But before we go any further, I was negligent in not asking your mom's first name.
Evelyn.
Oh, what a beautiful name. One of the twins is named Evelyn.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Isn't it beautiful?
And she never really liked it. And she was as beautiful as that name.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what her experience was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Her mom
Yes.
having abandoned them and her dad raising them. So how much involved was Evelyn's twin sister? What is your aunt's name?
Rita. I know. Didn't make sense. Ours were Jane and Joan, usually it rhymes or something is close. But yeah, Evelyn and Rita, that was funny.
Oh my God, Rita,
Yes.
R-I-T-A. That's one of my
Yes.
sister's names. This is a small world. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now we got the cards laid down on the table a little bit. When was she born, your mom?
1931.
Did she go to school? Did she work?
They went to school until sometime after their mom left. Like we said, because our grandfather wanted to keep his family together. They ended up having to go work at, I think, like 12, 13, and wherever it was in town where they lived.
Some nights they had to
sleep over some of the nights, and it was with nursing home type patients, maybe some war veterans, because they were frightened as little girls to see a man in a wheelchair, and
some of them were blind,
someone without legs.
So anyway, that was that made
so
it.
yeah, she was.
That's where your mom worked.
They worked her whole life.
Yeah, they were both. Neither of our parents finished high school because of the times. Yeah.
And what state was this in? Where was this?
Connecticut.
Oh, it was Connecticut. So this is, talk about a different reality. As a kid, this is what you're exposed to. So then how did she meet your father?
Oh, the skating rink.
Yes, Evelyn and Rita, I guess, were star roller skaters.
Yeah. Oh, right. Not ice skating. It was roller skating.
At an air right around New Haven, Connecticut. That's where they grew up. And so anyway, Rita, I believe, was taken, and our dad showed up, and one of the boys said, "Oh, Mike, you got to meet this girl. You got to meet they're twins. They're twins." And he says, "I know you're going to like this one."
Yes.
And I guess it was love at first sight. So
yeah.
And our father jokes that our mother chased him the whole way down the aisle.
Yeah.
And how old was she when she got married?
Older than Rita. Rita was in her teens. And so, because back then you were older if you were 21, 2. What was mommy? 22?
I think she was 23.
Okay.
They were, both of our parents were, that was considered old, 23, 24.
Yeah.
You see what great daughters we are. We don't know the exact dates.
That's okay.
But our father jokes that he never wanted to get married, but he's the one. My goodness, he couldn't live without that lady. And they were just two peas in a pod. And so anyway, they worked and worked, and our father joked that he married a woman in debt back in then.
Oh, right. There was a dress shop. She loved it. Yeah. That was cute.
Was she a seamstress herself at all, or was she a homemaker?
Oh, she tried.
She tried because our aunt, her twin was an expert seamstress. But our mother was like The Sound of Music. She turned literally drapes into an outfit, culottes for us.
Yeah, we had to wear that to school.
Our aunt made one of her daughters her wedding gown that, traveled a mile down the road. But our mom had basic sewing skills that today someone would say, oh, she's a sewer.
Yeah.
So what was it like in your household? Like when you were starting elementary school?
Very loud and confusing. It was Italian. So, we were all just speaking out at once and running. Oh, we had one bathroom. There were 5 of us.
Oh.
It was, wow. It was tough in the morning, but at night, I'll tell you, you had dinner at the table. You all talked with each other. Well, the loudest one won. You went downstairs to the whatever room to watch television. And our father used to slice and peel apples and crack nuts out of the actual shell.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to do that and watch like Lawrence Welk and it was not just Lawrence Welk. That was Sonny and Cher, the Smothers Brothers. It was good. And the Three Stooges, Honeymooners. It was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, that sounds really,
Yes,
really
a lot.
wonderful. Where was your mom in all this? Would she come with you? She'd hang out too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was the 5 of us. Jane, Joan,
Yes.
Lori, Mommy, and Daddy.
And Joan forgot one of the most important memories is who's going to put the tea water on, because dessert was a huge deal for our father. We're from the days, at least with our dad, where we ate what he ate, like Joan and I didn't try Chinese food until we were in college because our father didn't like it.
Right.
So your mom
Thank
kept him
God
happy.
He didn't like fish, though. I did not like fish. And I think, my God, one time we had fish sticks and I just didn't tolerate that well. And thank goodness he liked spaghetti and meatballs,
He used to make fun of our mom's meal. Every night that 50s woman had a meal, and she worked all day at the high school. She was a cafeteria worker, so she washed pots and pans all day, came home, had dinner on that table, and, we didn't have all the money for filet mignon. So one night, our father, we were eating what was called cube steak at the time, I think, and he just said, she'd say, how is it? She wanted to know from all of us, and he just said, I think that cow ran himself to death. That's because it was such tough meat. It was gross. I think Jane and I had it in our pocket for the neighborhood dog.
Oh my gosh. So tell us a little bit more. Your mom worked at was this the elementary school?
Yeah. When we were very young, they didn't have a lot of babysitters. She had to work 4 to midnight in a factory that made curtain rods.
Yeah.
And what a lovely group of people she worked with. And one of the best things about our mother is she didn't have a racist bone in her body.
No.
And that we have to say that our grandfather, our papa, did not either. But that was when this particular factory hired ex-cons, like nowadays you hear McDonald's or whatever, but there were small places that made agreements to help people to get out of prison. So anyway, she worked in this factory until we were school age, I guess, and then she got a job in the high school, so that she would be home with us.
Yeah.
You didn't go to the curtain rod factory with her, did you?
No.
Our
dad was home. So we would have these neighborhood babysitters that it was so interesting. They were much more strict parents than our own parents. And we dreaded these babysitters that were just, 4 or 5 years older than us. They were a little harsh, we thought.
I can only imagine.
Then our dad would have to give us our baths at night, and we have wonderful memories of him hurting our toes because he said you have to dry in between.
Oh, because he was in the military. Yeah, if you don't dry between your toes, you get whatever that is, fungus.
Oh my gosh, that's great. So did you taunt and destroy the lives of these babysitters, you two?
No,
no.
they actually had a wooden spoon. They raised it to us like, our dad spanked and all, but he was always laughing. So you weren't even afraid of him. All the neighborhood kids wished they had our parents. Our mother looked like a doll, literally a doll, not a blow up doll. Oh my God. One that you pull the string and then it talks to you, because she was so sweet looking. She looked like a Heidi from Sweden or something.
She looked like this lady from Green Acres. It's an old show. Her name either was Zsa Zsa Gabor or the other Gabor.
Yeah,
You're the Gabors.
Yeah. That's what she looked like, a Gabor.
Yes.
So she would totally get made up. Her hair was styled.
Totally.
Oh, I
Heels.
love. Yes. Oh, yes. I love the day. This is Jane. I think, in high school, and I wanted to look a little different. Maybe I didn't want to wash my hair, and I had the scarf around my head. And, a lot of girls would look terrific like that. And I'll admit I did not look good in that style. And she said, "You're not going to go out like that, are you, Jane?" And I got offended, but I get it. She always made herself look presentable.
With the lipstick and everything, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
The takeaway, your mom was fantastic. Your mom was troubled. Your mom did everything for you, came first and foremost. She loved her. Did she love herself?
I think she sacrificed a lot of herself so that we could have more. I think she was probably, for me, Joan, the best mother I couldn't even imagine somebody better than she was. Go ahead, Jane.
So I'll have to admit, it's Jane here. As the other twin, I call it the other twin. I was born with the glass half empty, and I was a depressed child. Now I'm a grown up, I have a child, and I understand that a mother glows when a child glows. And Joan glowed. So I grew up with a big chip on my shoulder that my mother preferred Joan. You could see it when Joan walked in the room. She got a delightful look. Lori got it once in a great while, and I felt like I never had it. And recently I came to the conclusion that when I got my depression treated, and I was bright and airy, I got the look, the smile from my mother, and I am so grateful. But I grew up with a big chip thinking, what's wrong with this woman? And the last time I yelled at her was when she was 80, and it's only because I believed that no 80-year-old, I don't care who that 80-year-old is, I did not believe that, I wish I said 70, that person should be yelled at. Not because I thought my mother was a wonderful mother. But I came to realize that the fact that she didn't leave us was good enough. And that's all you need is a good enough mother. And now and I had a beautiful experience after she passed away. Well, one cute one before she passed away where we said to each other, "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you didn't like me. And that's why we were distant." And she said, "Oh, no, I thought you didn't like me." That hurt me because I did not. I didn't like her. Anyway, she passed, and I had the most beautiful dream of her that I believe happened, and we reconciled, and it was wonderful. So now it's the funniest thing when you change your perception in life and view something a little bit differently, you'd be amazed at the lovely memories that you could have. Because now I almost can't remember anything. She was never nasty. And all I can remember is the good. And all I can remember now are some of the comments I didn't look at as nice, like I do now. And I got to say, she's one of the most beautiful woman. She's my idol. And she helped me with parenting, and the way she looked at my son. Yeah, that's no need for any forgiveness there.
I'm so sorry, though, that you had to experience that as a kid, because that's hard. But I get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the miscommunication. If we only had the foresight to have these conversations earlier, Mom, do you love me? Did you love me? All the years of agony that weren't necessary. But speaking about it now, you can help many, many people save decades of unhappiness because of thinking they were never loved.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that just doesn't have to happen anymore, right?
Right. And with twins, I think too, there can be a lot more mistakes or misconceptions, because sometimes if you're, labeled, the shorter one, or the one with, the smarter, the fatter, the prettier, the whatever. I don't think they ever did that. But you then start thinking, oh, then I must not be smart because Jane's the smart one. It gets weird with that. But our mother said, being an identical twin forces you to be comfortable being seen through a microscope. And they did that. Like, we have moles removed. I have had moles removed off of my body because I was sick of people saying, oh, can I just see that mole one more? I want to guess which one you are. And, the moles were not that attractive. It wasn't that Marilyn Monroe mole that looked really nice.
But speaking of being the fat twin, this is Jane. Joan once asked our mother, and it's only by a few pounds. Joan once asked our mother, how did you know which one was?
Oh, yeah, I was always confused. How would a mother know which twin just ate? You look too similar. So my whole life, I said, Mom, but how'd you know? And she'd say, oh, Joan, please, or, oh, your father helped, or whatever. So right before she died, she was hilarious. She said, hey, Joan, she said, come here. I didn't know who was eating. Are you happy now? She didn't have a clue which one of us ate.
And I popped out from the bathroom of the hospital room, and I said, clearly it was me.
So, yeah, that was cute.
Because it really didn't matter, did it?
No.
That's a technicality, the name. But boy, the moniker could just get slapped on and have a lifelong negative or positive effect.
Yes.
So now you're helping others with this wisdom and life experience that you have. You are the therapy twins.
Yes, we are.
Oh my God, you're so funny. And do you only provide counseling to twins, or do you work with everybody?
Oh, no, anybody. Actually, some of our favorite clients spent half their lives in prison because we found out through our careers of being therapists as well, after nurses, that I had similar PTSD like somebody who had spent half their life in prison. But Jane seemed to have more of the solitary confinement, like her mom, I think, too, with that type of trauma. And, with mental health today, they're all saying that it's a reaction to trauma, a lot of mental illness. So that was interesting.
Can I ask what, Joan, the PTSD was from?
Oh, well, I've got to say now we realize, I always thought it was my adult trauma of being mugged, a little beaten there when I was first mugged, sexually assaulted. An airplane almost went down over the Pacific Ocean. Wow, that was a bit scary. And boy, do you become religious right there towards the end. I got to tell people, you really do. You actually start talking to God. But Jane had more, where were we going with this? Well, where we're going is we both...
Jane, you just mentioned PTSD and just brushed over it very quickly, so I just wanted to acknowledge it.
Yes, but one of the biggest traumas that we found out, this is Jane talking, later in our lives, because why would I act or have symptoms similar to someone who spent time in solitary confinement? I mean, I was in this house, in this one bathroom with everybody. And even if people weren't saying, oh, Jane, this, and I felt Joan. I mean, where our childhood trauma began, apparently, was in the 60s. We spent 30 days in incubators, separate incubators back in the days before it happened in the 70s when they allowed mommy and daddy to do the human touch stuff. Our mother and father did not get to touch us until we got home after 1 month in incubators. So it was and then to try bonding with someone who didn't have a mother. It was the whole thing. I mean, the fact that we're not serial killers, I think, is really...
yeah. If we were beaten and humiliated, because I just looked up Hitler, I can't remember why, and he was short, he had bad feet, he wanted to be an artist, and he was humiliated and beaten daily. I don't know if it was his father and an uncle or whatever. So I was just looking into that because we make serial killers in this world. If you look up any serial killer, they had been physically and emotionally traumatized. So that's where I was going. even though I have an arrest record. Jane does too. Hers is just under FBI wrap, AR, whatever, AR. It's called accelerated rehabilitation. So I suggest for listeners not to use your AR right away, because if you get a more serious crime in your life, you do want to have a second chance, and that gets you shouldn't. We used it when we were 18 and we started stealing, which is another mental health topic. When you're unable to express your feelings in some way, a lot of times you just start stealing.
Well, you're calling out for something. Well, you're perhaps calling out for the red flag, as I refer to it. So I can't remember which one this happened to, but I wanted to ask you about this particular instance.
That's okay. Oh.
One of you was pregnant and the other felt this morning sickness symptoms.
Well, this is Jane talking. The funny thing is, I was pregnant with morning sickness as well. But yes, Joan,
I kept going to the grocery store and getting a pregnancy test.
Because she didn't know I was pregnant yet.
No, and I didn't understand because I had all this morning sickness. So the lady, after the third time, I didn't even know I was going to the same cashier because I had my head down. I was embarrassed because, remember, we grew up with somebody from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Being, a virgin until you're married was what our parents expected. They had at least hoped for. So that was like weird. I wasn't married. So yeah, the lady, it was so funny. After my third try of it, I kept getting more and more expensive tests. She said, honey, they all work. And I was devastated when I looked at her. Anyway, I was not pregnant. And then Jane told me.
But you do that. Have all your lives? Have you are symbiotic emotionally as well?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Absolutely.
It's really weird. You know how a bunch of women can work together, and after I'm not sure how much time goes by, they start getting their menses in sync.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Our hot flashes are so in sync that to the point now where Joan might have one and then she'll say, oh, I feel sorry for you. It's a bad one.
It's coming.
She knows it's just a matter of seconds that I'm going to get it.
Wow. Well, you're very lucky to have each other. And I really, I can't, you just remind me of my sister so much. And we laugh and we have so much fun together. And I love I'm able to see you during the interview on camera, but my listeners will have to find you on YouTube because you're definitely there. Okay. So my listeners can find you guys if they just Google Joan and Jane Therapy Twins. You have a beautiful site.
And then, you could leave the Joan and Jane out. I think just therapytwins.com is it.
And our handles are all at Therapy Twins. Yeah, it'd be easy. And arrest records might pop up.
But I think that's part of your educational background.
Absolutely.
Right? It's under college on your resume.
Yes, the School of Fort Knox, as they used to say.
Wow. You certainly have a breadth of experience in all different categories, including the heart. And I'm so glad we got to talk about your mom. It just means the world to me, and to see how you guys get emotional. And I'm glad that you were able to, Jane, talk to your mom about your relationship. A couple of years earlier would have been great. But you know what? You have that gift now.
I absolutely do.
And
I treasure it.
Yeah, and that's wonderful advice for everybody listening. It's hard to start a conversation like that sometimes, but the second you open your mouth and you start the conversation, then the barrier, oh my God, it's like you're holding your breath your whole life, waiting for that other shoe to drop or something.
I know. And when you're in it as a depressed, boring, vomiting verbal stuff person, when you're in that gunk, it's hard to know that all you have to do is push that ego off just a little bit and just come out with your vulnerability, and you realize you actually don't fall down and crumble like that wicked witch did with the
and the sun is still going to come up the next morning, right? Exactly. And even if it doesn't come out right, it may come out horribly, and there may be yelling and screaming, but it's the beginning of the communication. It's better to blurt it out.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies, I can't wait to do another chat with you down the line somewhere. That would be wonderful. All right, Joan and Jane, Therapy Twins, I wish you all the best. Thank you for joining me on Should Have Listened to My Mother.
Thank you.
Thank you, and listen to your mother.